Blink once and you'd swear nothing happened. Just Meghan Markle, a boppy dance beat, and a lopsided baby bump wobbling through a grainy phone lens. Blink twice and boom, Hollywood hits the panic button. Netflix locks its boardroom doors, Paramount ghosts her calls, and hashtag Bumpgate hijacks every timeline from London to LA. Think Megxit was messy? That was the appetizer. This 30-second reel is the main course, and it's serving scorched earth drama with a side of streaming deal carnage. This is how one cute clip flipped a duchess into showbiz kryptonite, and why the shockwaves aren't done ripping through Tinseltown just yet. It dropped at dawn on June 4th, 2025. A quick hospital room throwback Meghan thought would shout, "See? I'm fun. I'm real. I'm still that girl." Cue the phone camera. Her in fuzzy slippers, Harry bobbing like a backup dancer, and Star Keisha's baby mama dance rattling the IV stand. For the first 10 minutes, the likes poured in. By the 20th, eyebrows were arching at warp speed. Something looked off. The bump, the shape. One frame it was low and round, the next high and weirdly pointy. Comments spiraled from, "Aw, cute," to, "Wait, did that just change?" in record time. Parenting bloggers called it cringe cosplay. TikTok detectives slowed the clip to 0.25x speed, circling freeze frames like a crime scene. Overnight, hashtag Bumpgate slammed onto trending lists, dragging the reel past 23 million views, but drowning it in laughing cry emojis, clown icons, and pitch-perfect parodies. And that's when the money men started sweating. Netflix's Greg Peters reportedly barked, "Cut exposure now," while Ted Sarandos tried and failed to calm the room. Paramount's legal team slapped a brand risk label on every pending project bearing Meghan's name. Even Disney, usually happy to sprinkle royal pixie dust, sent her calls to voicemail. But algorithm storms don't blow over quietly. Every hot take video, every late-night punchline, every side-by-side bump comparison kept the reel's view counter spinning and her credibility circling the drain. Within 48 hours, Meghan disabled comments. Too late. The internet already had its teeth in the story, and the bite marks were bleeding straight into her ever-shrinking fan base. And here's the kicker. That little reel wasn't just a viral misstep. It was the first domino in a chain reaction threatening to flatten an entire multi-million-dollar streaming empire. But before we get to the studios scrambling for cover, let's rewind to the rumor mill that supercharged the backlash. Because the wildest theories are still on deck, and they're only getting louder. But that first blast of backlash was only the spark. Within hours, TikTok sleuths slowed Meghan's reel to a crawl, zooming, screenshotting, and circling every angle of that wobbling belly. The hashtag #HowI'dBumpgate rocketed to the platform's top 5 trends, racking up 9.6 million views by day's end. Late-night hosts pounced. Piers Morgan sneered it looked like a royal sex tape gone G-rated, while Megyn Kelly called it cringe cosplay fit for cable news reruns. Then, the tabloids piled on. Radar Online pumped out a headline screaming, "Fake bump fiasco," claiming the belly seemed to inflate and deflate on cue. A viral Newsweek clip stitched the reel beside old paparazzi snaps, suggesting a years-long pattern of shape-shifting silhouettes. Theories multiplied faster than you could say conspiracy. Was this all an elaborate stunt for sympathy? A secret teaser for her lifestyle brand? Or, the wildest rumor, proof she'd hired a surrogate and was faking the pregnancy all along? Every hot take spread the clip further. TikTok detectives clocked 23 million replay rotations. YouTube reaction channels pumped out hour-long analysis videos that trended into the algorithm's stratosphere. The net result? Meghan's view count climbed, but so did disbelief. Outrage was suddenly the engine of engagement, and it was about to slam headfirst into corporate bottom lines. In Los Angeles, the boardroom lights burned past midnight. Greg Peters, Netflix's no-nonsense CEO, reportedly barked, "Cut exposure now," after internal brand risk analysts flagged the reel's sentiment rating at 28% positive, 72% negative. Meanwhile, Ted Sarandos, the exec who once called Meghan a global rock star storyteller, tried calming the room, but even he couldn't ignore that hashtag Bumpgate had spiked Netflix's own social listening dashboards bright red. Across town, Paramount moved faster. After months of quiet pitch meetings for a possible DIY daytime series, executives slapped a "pause indefinitely" stamp on every deck bearing Meghan's name, citing a newly circulated brand risk memo. Disney and MTV? Sources say the calls went straight to voicemail or were returned with a polite, "circle back next quarter." Nobody wanted fresh contracts tied to a duchess whose credibility graph looked like a cliff drop. But the biggest headache lurked inside Netflix's own servers, the rough-cut vault of Season 2, quietly scheduled for fall. Season 1 hadn't exactly set critics on fire. Rolling Stone dubbed it a Montecito ego trip. Slate called it heavily curated and ultimately uncompelling, and review aggregators pinned it at a 35% audience score. Still, Sarandos gambled on Season 2, hoping a few format tweaks, less pristine farmhouse, more real life, would fix the vibe. Instead, test screenings detonated. Early viewers scrawled hollow, self-indulgent, and painful across feedback tablets. Some walked out before episode 3 even reached the sourdough starter segment. Peters reportedly watched the footage, turned to his deputies, and muttered, "I'd rather fund dial-up." Behind the scenes, editors were ordered to slash runtime, tone down branded product placements, and desperately hunt for usable B-roll. Yet, while the cut-and-paste frenzy raged, Meghan was already pitching Season 3, insisting a renewal would prove Netflix's faith in her impact. Leaked emails show she referenced her reel's 23 million views as evidence she still moves culture. Peters' reply, insiders claim, views mean nothing if 70% are hate-watching. And if the platform's gatekeepers were sweating, Meghan's once loyal fan base was outright vanishing. Scroll back 6 months, and Meghan's relaunched @Meghan account boasted 3.4 million followers. By the morning after Bumpgate, trackers like Social Blade pegged it at 2.9 million and falling, about 500,000 accounts gone overnight. Comment sections that once overflowed with "Yas Queen Hearts" now bristled with clown emojis, sarcastic, relatable digs, and blunt advice to read the room. Even longtime Sussex support Twitter stan accounts quietly deleted years of flattering memes. The defection bled into merchandise too. Shopify leak trackers showed sales on her A's Ever jars and tote bags dipping 40% week over week, despite her claim that the brand sold out in 45 minutes. PR pros call it conversion embarrassment. People still doom scroll the drama, but they don't want to wear it anymore. For any other influencer, this is where the apology tour would begin. But Meghan's next move? A solo hour-long podcast rant, no interviewer, no edits, where she referred to herself in the third person. The world hasn't seen the real Meghan yet. Viewers waiting for humility instead heard a manifesto about joyful motherhood and critics who just don't get it. Reaction videos called it tone deaf on turbo. And the money cliff? That's straight ahead in Section 6, because the clock on her $100 million Netflix deal is ticking louder than ever. Meghan's first move after the Had Bumpgate pile-on wasn't an apology tour. It was an all-caps counter-offensive. PR reps blasted out talking points, misogynistic smear, body-shaming hysteria, and the evergreen context outrage. Within 24 hours, her lawyer threatened tabloids with defamation suits, demanding retractions for prosthetic bump claims. Yet every cease and desist screenshot that leaked to X, formerly Twitter, just stoked the meme furnace. The more she swung, the wider the audience grew for punchline edits. Then came the podcast, a solo, hour-long monologue recorded in her Monet-colored sunroom. No host, no script, just Meghan riffing on motherhood, trolls, and the paradox of public truth. She slipped into third person mid-sentence. The world still hasn't met the real Meghan, and doubled down on her right to dance in joy without permission. Loyal fans clapped. Everyone else called it PR suicide by microphone. But those 60 minutes did something her team hadn't planned. They fractured her inner circle. One longtime stylist unfollowed after being name-dropped as proof Meghan doesn't live in a bubble. An ex-advisor tweeted a cryptic, "When someone shows you who they are." And inside Netflix, staffers whispered that the rant convinced holdout executives Meghan would never embrace media coaching, meaning every new episode risked another viral flamethrower. By week's end, the counterpunch looked less like a comeback and more like a self-inflicted bruise, setting the stage for the ugliest numbers game of Meghan's career. So what happened? 3 lethal trends. Overexposure, X underdelivery. Each glossy tell-all promised candor but delivered curated sound bites, leaving viewers feeling bait and switched. Luxury lifestyle dissonance. It's hard to preach joyful motherhood for all from a $14 million estate brimming with nannies, chefs, and Swiss-made bassinets. Algorithmic amplification of missteps. One viral reel today equals 10 front-page scandals in 1998. The internet never lets a bump, or a bumpgate, fade quietly. Wrap those in a royal wrapper, and Meghan transformed from symbolic heroine to cultural lightning rod faster than you can say, Archetypes was cancelled. The tragedy? Much of the goodwill was real. People wanted her to win. But goodwill melts under repeated fire drills, and audiences tire of perpetual victimhood plots. Which brings us to our final beat. Because every saga needs an exit line, and this one is still being written 30 seconds. That's all it took for Meghan Markle's carefully scripted comeback to veer into freefall. One wobbly dance, one mystery bump, and a digital echo chamber primed for spectacle did the rest, turning network boardrooms into war rooms, fans into armchair CSI agents, and a duchess into a streaming-era warning label. The million-dollar question now, can she pivot before the money cliff, or is the world finally tuning her out for good? Because if the next reel, podcast, or product drop doesn't flip the narrative, the loudest sound in Montecito may soon be silence. And that, dear viewers, is why a half-minute clip can scorch an empire. Stay curious, because in the age of algorithm drama, today's bump is tomorrow's crater.